Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This is going to be a forecasting model video using sales data and Google Trends. And it involves a number of steps that I described here. I'm not going to read them, but you can pause the video and take a look at them. If someone just puts a timestamp on the video itself, that would be great so that you would know where to find which part of the information. So I just wanted to use a real data set. You may have a real data set from your company and you could just use that data set. I picked the granularity as the months for the sales figures, and I assume that the seasons, the sales differences happen in months. So the reason why I did that is that the data involves only the monthly sales and the years as well. First, we are going to just download this data or make a connection to this data set as long as the website allows us. And from there, we are going to keep just doing the following steps. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to be doing is that I will just open my Excel file and just open a blank Excel file. And I'll go to data, get data from other sources and from web. And then I am going to just go to this link here, and the websites sometimes do not let you do this. Right now, good car, bad car is good, and they are just allowing us to do this. Maybe in the future, they may not. So I'm just going to just provide this URL and just click OK. And then it is going to make a connection, and it is now going to just bring up the connection details to me. And I could just pause my video and wait for it, but let's just wait for a couple of maybe seconds. And now we are able to see that it is going to make a connection to this website, and it is going to show us a number of tables. Let's hope that is going to happen soon. Okay, great. So if I click on table 1, this is the table that I am looking for, and I am just going to grab this table. Let me just take a look at table 2. This is the yearly sales. Table 3 is just again. So I'm going to just choose table 1, but then I will click on transform data. So this is where you are going to be using Power Query, and there are tons of videos that you could find on Power Query if you do not know. So not my videos. I think I may have a video or two about this, but you can find some other videos as well. So I'm going to click on transform data, and then what I want is I want to just take these sales data in provided for every month and for every year. I want to unpivot this. So I need to use the transformation. So I'll go to transform, and then I will unpivot columns. To do that, I'm going to click on this January column first and press Shift and maybe Control Shift and then the right. It doesn't work. Okay, Shift and just click on the right arrow and highlight all those months. And then I'm going to click on unpivot columns, and Excel Power Query was able to unpivot the values for 2005 and then 2006, 7, 8, 9. It goes until 2024. So it looks good now. So what I'll do is that I'm just going to go to Home tab, and I'll close and load to, and I will just put this in the existing worksheet in A1 cell, and then I'm going to click OK. Now Excel Power Query is making the connection to that website, and then it is retrieving the information as a table. And now we have all the values. What I want to do is, instead of naming this table 1, I'm going to call this Tacoma sales. Okay, just one word. And I'll call this my data. Okay, so this is my data set, and these are my Tacoma sales. what I want to do is I'm going to be using this data set, and I will also use now the Google Trends data. I think there is a video of mine where I only use the data set from the website, or I think maybe Google Trends. Here we are just using the data from the website, and then we will just combine this data with Google Trends. The idea is that you may have your own sales values, but the sales values may not really provide you the best forecast. You may have to add a number of additional independent variables to your regression model to make it better. And here we're going to be using past year's Google search index value. And we will assume that those index values are going to, indices are going to help us to understand what our forecast for the next year is going to be, or the next month is going to be. So right now we are in December 2024, not December, we are in August and September 2024. Let me just delete these bottom ones and then delete those. And we know that the sales are 20,770, but what's going to happen in September, October, November, and December? What I want to do is maybe I'll just delete all of these here, and then I may just use my model without just using April, May, June, July, and August, and try to forecast those using my model and to see if I am going to be able to have a good prediction. So let's just go to the Google Trends data now. So I'll go to trends.google.com, and then I'm going to be exploring what people are searching. And I'm not searching for Tito Jackson. I don't even know who this person is. Oh yeah, I should be. I may have to just cut this video and re-record if this is a famous person. But I do not know. Anyhow, so I'm gonna be just putting my information here. Toyota Tacoma, okay. And then it is, maybe I'll just look for Tacoma, but Tacoma is a place as well. So Toyota Tacoma is kind of a better search term for us. And this is just telling us what people are searching and on the internet, and if people are searching Toyota Tacoma on the internet. As you see here, people are searching for Toyota Tacoma sometime in May, April. There's kind of like higher searches. There is a jump in May 2023. I'm not sure why that happened there. And that may be a new model or something. There's something happened, and the highest number of searches happened on that day, or maybe if there's specific data. And I want to be able to use these search indices, and if I want to look for, let's say, if I want to forecast September 2024, I'm going to be using Google Search Index for September 2023, and I will also be using my past data sets, and I will seasonalize my data using the months, and I will also take the trend in data set into consideration. So if I look at this data set, if I just maybe create these values, instead of these are values, I'm going to call these as the sales figures, but I realize that these values are shown as general, they are not numbers. If they were numbers, they would be just right aligned, so Excel does not recognize them as numbers, maybe because of the comma in between. So I'll go back to my data and go to Get Data again and launch the Power Query Editor, and then I'll go to Transform, and here in the Transform, I'll click on this ABC values, and then data type, I'm going to turn it into a whole number. Now Excel recognizes them as a number, and I will also maybe rename this column. And let's see here, the rename, and I'll call this Tacoma sales. Okay, let's just maybe sales is sufficient enough. Everything I did here are just shown with the applied steps. I can remove my steps and I can reapply another step, so which is kind of a very nice tool here that we are using with Excel. So I'm going to close and load now. And now all those modifications are going to be done. It still makes a connection to the website. If you want, you can download the data and make a connection there. But now these are numbers. Okay. So because we did those changes, and it's going to show, okay, the remainder of the months are also shown there. So 2024 December, maybe I can just go to 2025 and just drag this down and show this 2025 values as well. Remove these zeros because these are not zero. Okay, here we go. Now we'll go back to our Tacoma sales. So we will just download this as a CSV file. I'm scared to look how long it passed. It's 10 minutes already. So I'll open this multi-timeline and expand this, maybe delete this top 2 rows there, and then I'll call this Tacoma search volume index. Okay, so this is the search volume indices are they are transformed and they are normalized. The highest search gets 100 and the other search amounts are just provided in a scale of from between 0 and 100, so they are just shown in with respect to the highest search amount, the search number. So that if the highest search is 100,000 and 90,000 is going to be 90, 100,000 is going to be 100. So once I just downloaded this multi-timeline, I will just move this or copy this to my worksheet that I'm going to be creating my forecasting model. I'll call this search volume index data. Okay. So I know that these are the weeks and the Tacoma sales here. And what I want to do is these are based on the weeks, and I want to find the monthly average search volume indices. So to do that, I'll go to insert and create a pivot table from this data set. And I'll create a pivot table in here, so I'm not going to move somewhere else. This is the table. Just do it one more time. And then in the existing worksheet, and I'll click here to create my pivot table. I'll grab the week under the rows, and I'll grab the search volume index under the values. And Excel recognized these as dates and just provided me the sum of the Tacoma sales for every year. I'll change this into average. But I do not want to see the years, I want to see the months and the years. I'll click on group, and then I'm going to just remove the quarters. Years and months are going to be there, and open that. So here we go. We have the Tacoma sales for 2019 September, October until 2024 September. These are the search volume indices. And using this data, and because I have data from 2019 September, I will only create my model just using 2020 September data and forward. So to do that, let's just click on a new worksheet here. And in the new worksheet, I am going to just just name this as forecasting model. Okay. And then I'll go to my data, and I am going to go to 2020 September. And let's just put here year, attribute, and sales. Instead of year, attribute, and sales, I will just call this year, month, and sales. And grab this year, month, and sales from here, put it here, and then grab 2020 September and just make a reference to that. Okay, so just enter data 2020 here, and I'll just save this, copy this across, and then I'm going to copy this down. And as you see here, it went to until 2024 and 2025. So this is good. We can get rid of the zeros from there, and we don't have any data for these months. Okay, so what we need here is now that we have a data set, we have the months, we have the sales, and then let's just put the search volume indices as well here and make a reference. And the search volume index for 2020 September is going to be lagged by 12 months. So it's going to look at 2019 September. Because let's say if I want to find 2024 September forecast, I do not have 2024 Google search volume index, but I have the past year's search volume index. So I can use that and hope that it is going to be helpful for to forecast this year's value. So I will just then click here, make a reference to search volume index, and click there. And as you see here that Excel now just put a value, but it is just using the get pivot data function. So the get pivot data function is looking at this search volume index pivot table, and then it is going to the 9th month of the year. It goes to year 2019. But instead of just referring to 9 here, if I copy this down, it is always going to look at month 9. It is always going to look at September. I'm going to make this a reference to September, B2. Excel, I need to give a credit to Excel here, is able to recognize that the September is the same thing as 9. And then instead of using 2019 here, just for 2019 data, I'll just click here 2020 and just -1. 2020 minus 1 is 2019. Now, when the dates go to 2021, it is going to be 2020. So it's always going to be the updated value. Enter there. So as you see here, is 52.66 is for 2019 September. And let's take a look at one of the values. This is 2022 November is 58. And if I go to 2021 November, so this is 2022 November. So if I go to 2021 November, it is going to be the same value, 58. Okay. So we are able to get pivot data for the year 2020 September from 2019 September, and then follow the same principle. Okay, now we have the sales, which is our dependent variable. We have the search volume index, which is our independent variable. But we also want to see if there's a trend in the data. So over time, if there is trend, so I'm going to call this period, and I'll go from 1 and then 2, and I'll double click on this, and I'll have my periods. This is going to make a reference to, so I can just delete those because there is no data for those months in my data set. So these periods, this variable is going to capture the linear trend. And I'm going to grab these months from January to November. I'm not going to include December, and because I'm just going to create for 12 months, I'm going to be creating 11 dummy variables. So the number of dummy variables is always the number of categories minus 1. And you can watch other videos on multiple linear regression to understand this better. But this today we are only going to focus on the forecasting. I'll copy these, and I'll right click here, paste special, just the values, and transpose them. I just wanted to get these month names from there. So I can make them look like that green colored as well. Now at this point, I want to be able to create my dummies. So whenever it says September, there should be a 1, and the other months I need to get the value of 0. So, and if it is a month of January, then 1 should display there. I'm going to just use an if function there. If this month that I see here is equal to this month that I see here, it's going to be 1, otherwise it's going to be 0. But because I'm going to copy this across and down, for this B2, I do not want to copy this across, so I will just use my absolute referencing and just use an F4 key on my keyboard and lock the column B. Then it is not going to be able to move across, but it is free to move down. We did not restrict the movement on the row. Again, if you have any difficulty understanding this, you need to watch absolute and relative referencing videos. I'll go to F1, and this one is going to be now, we need to block the movement from the row, so this one needs to do the opposite, $1. Okay. So this is not January because it's 0 here, and we will see a 1 for September, double click, and then we have all the month values, and they are dummified. Is that a correct term? I just made it up. Dummified. Maybe I may have to search that. Dummified. I think it is. What is the meaning of dumbifying? Okay, that's, I don't think it's the correct meaning there. But anyhow, so let's just move back here. Now I have everything is ready to create my forecasting model. So I'm going to be highlighting the sales up to, I only want to use my values up to, let's say, March, okay? I want to forecast April, May, June, July, and August. So I will just go from 2020 September until 2024 March. And I will just name this range as my dependent. You do not need to name the range, but if you name it, it is going to look cool. So I'm going to highlight the search volume index period and the months here. And then I will just move down, and let's see where we had it. So I'll just shift and just save this down, and I just need to know what month that we have. This is 49. Okay. So, and this is going to be now named as independent. Okay. So these are my independent variables, and this only one column is my dependent. And I also highlighted the titles. I'll go to the data tab and then data analysis tool. If you have a Mac computer, maybe you could just search on the internet, search on Google, so data analysis toolpack. And if you don't see this, you'll have to go to File on a PC, More, Options, and then you'll need to go to the add-ins here. And from the add-ins, you need to go to Go. And from here, you need to check the Analysis toolpack. And just click OK. Now then, under the Data tab, you will see your Data Analysis tool. You click on it. Then you are going to just go to Regression and click OK. The Y range, because we named it, it's easy to just type now dependent. And the X range is independent. And then labels are selected. And I want to create this in a new worksheet. And I'll just maybe highlight the residuals and the standardized residuals as well. Maybe the residual plots to show you a couple of things there. And here we go. We'll just click OK. And same, what did we do here? Yeah, okay. It's going to be D1 to P44. Why did I select up to 44? Right, so not up to 49, it needs to be up to 44. So my naming was not correct. So let's just go and just make a change onto that very quick. Name manager, and refers to this one. I want to just change that, edit this, and make that P44. Okay, now I'll go back to my data tab again and just do it one more time. And this is independent, and the other was dependent. And Excel just turned it into the cell referencing, and I'll click OK. And here we go, we have the results. And let's just first find the forecast. And these are the important point here is the coefficients and the p-values of the coefficients. And I'm going to be just highlighting this, and except the intercept, I want to look at if these are significant. And to do that, I'll highlight these and I'll go to the Home tab. And now let's just learn one more thing. I'll just do conditional formatting, just using a new rule, using a formula. Okay. So I'll make that my formula, and I'll say that if equals, if this cell, this p-value, or without the $sign, if this cell, the p-value, without the $sign in front of 18, so $E18, if it is less than 0.05, and I chose the significance level of 5%, and I'll go to format, and I'll make it bold with a color, maybe let's make it red colored, and then fill, and I'll just choose this color there, maybe slightly lighter color, and then click OK. And when I click OK, Excel is going to highlight the selected region but the whole row. So if I only select the p-values, I can just do a conditional formatting on the values themselves. But if I put a formula myself and just use this, Excel is going to highlight the whole row. How does this work? So this works by just going to the cell E18. If it is less than 0.05, and Excel just makes it red color with this background. And then it also goes to every row that I highlighted, but it does not go any other column than column E to check for this 0.05. So it is going to visit everywhere, and it's going to go to row 18, 19, 20, and it's going to color them, but it is not going to check the values other than this column E. So every value in column E is going to be checked against 0.05, but not the other columns. And when it finds it, it is going to just highlight and color the whole row, as you have seen here. Now, these are my p-values, and I'm just going to maybe just put one more conditional formatting here for the size of the p-value. And here we go. And what are we going to understand from this? I know that the video is long, but you can pause and you can go away and come back. But these are the results. And period is significant. That means and it is negative. Unfortunately, now what we are seeing is that we are seeing that the Tacoma sales are going down. And every month the on average, it's 177 units going down, and it is significant. The search volume index is not significant, it's 0.09, but it's still like helping us to predict. So we are not just looking at the significance of a variable, we will just be using this to come up with a good forecasting model. The only thing that matters to us is the prediction. And I look at these months, and we are not seeing January there. And no, I think December, yes, we excluded December. And what we are seeing is that some months are just having their significance there, and January and September. How do we interpret this is that we are going to say that the months of January and September are going to have significantly different sales amounts than December sales. The other months are not significantly different, although February is almost significant there. So what does it mean? It means that the December sales are highest, they are the highest, and in January the sales just plummet about 6,681 units, and in February sales are also low on average. March, April, May, they are almost the same, there is no significant difference. Then June, July, August, the coefficients are positive, but there is no significant difference there from December. So, but the sales are high, that we know that. So we're using these values now to come up with our forecast values. I'll call this cell as my intercept cell. And then I'm going to be just highlighting everything here, and I'll call this my slopes. And these are the coefficients and for the slopes of every independent variable, including the period, including the search volume index, including the months. I'll go back to my forecasting model, and here let's just open the one more column here and call this forecast. And now I'll forecast 2020 September using these independent variables. And how do I do that is I'll first put my intercept, and then plus, I'll multiply every slope with these actual values. So the coefficient, every coefficient is going to be multiplied by one of these. So the search volume index coefficient is going to be multiplied by 52.66. Then if the month is September, it is going to be multiplied by 1, and otherwise it's not going to be multiplied by September. Whatever month it is going to be multiplied by that specific month. And I can just, instead of doing those one by one, I can use the sum product function. But the sum product function looks at the two sets of values, and it multiplies them. Well, what happens is that they need to be either both horizontal or both vertical. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So what I could do is that because my forecast, the regression coefficients, the slopes are in a vertical order, I can transpose them. And once I transpose them, I will multiply them with these numbers. So I'll multiply them with these coefficients. And here we go. These are the transformed coefficients, and these are the actual values. As you see here, they are shown there. And these are my values. And when I press enter, and I calculate my forecast. How cool is that? Okay, now I'll just put this a number and double click on it. And here we go, we have our sales, and then we have our forecasts. Let's take a look at this, how they look. And I don't need to put 2020, I know that. Maybe I'll get rid of these 2020 values from there, but if I just highlight everything, the top row, Control Shift and down arrow, and these are my forecasts for every month, including 2024 and 2025. Okay, so let's just go to the data, then insert and recommended charts. Excel does not recommend. It's a line chart. Okay, good work. And I'll click OK. So I'm not sure why we saw the 2025 December. What is happening with this? We cannot calculate those because these are the, I'm going to get rid of this part where I'll only go up to 2025 September, okay, in my graph. Here we go. And as you see here, the things are not looking well for Tacoma, and there is a decline in the sales, and maybe there's other models that are just getting attention. Maybe if the Tacoma sales are different from the TRDs, or if they are different from Tundra. Yeah, they are different, but if the Tundra sales are going up, we do not know. But what we are saying is that there's a downwards trend, and this is my forecast. And even though my forecast is kind of looking downwards, and it looks like the sales will kind of at the top here. And now let's just enter some of these values in 2024 September, October, November. We did not use those to calculate them, right? So these are my actual values. They are already entered there. So these are actually, this is a very accurate forecast there. And March wasn't. May is not. June, July is good. August is, my forecast is kind of down. The sales are up. So, and we are kind of able to see this model. And where's these are the results, and this is my forecasting model there. And COVID may have impacted, or I think what's happened, maybe there is a missing data point here for the sales. I do not expect the sales to be zero. And there is another downward, maybe a very small value over here. So this could be my extreme deviations between the forecast and the actual values. I can see those under the results. And if I look at the standardized residuals here, and if I maybe look at these residuals and maybe highlight them, if they are less than -3, or highlight them if they are greater than 3. And I'll look at here, this is a month where the 25th value, and that's the only deviation, and I would expect that to be this value there. Okay, so 25th observation is 2022 September. So there is there's a huge error there that results in a very large standardized residual. So this value is the difference is more than 3 standard errors far away from the actual value. So if I maybe look at this conditional formattings, and I'll look at the gradient fill there, I'll see like which months are much different and which months are closer to my forecast. And in forecasting, you also need to use some kind of an error measure. So you may want to compare this forecasting method to another one by just looking at maybe the mean squared error or the mean absolute deviation. or mean absolute percentage error. So you could just use one of the error measures, and I may have some videos on how to use those error measures as well. And this is kind of a practice where we showed you to be able to go to a website, connect to a data set, and bring data set, use pivot tables. And what we are talking about here is multiple qualifications. So you should be able to understand the models. You should also be able to comfortable using some tools to come up with your results, and you should be able to interpret your results. And if there is anything else remaining, it could be just the residual plots here. And what we are seeing is that we are seeing if the month is November, the errors are more like a clustered together, and we are seeing that this value is 1, this value is 0. If it is November, then our prediction is forecasts are going to be better. So this model is able to come up with a better prediction for November, October, and then September. There is what we are seeing is that we only have a limited number of data sets for September, and actually we are not making a lot of here. Our prediction is not as good. August is good, July, June, May, April, March, and what we want to see is that which ones are causing the trouble here. And January, and it looks like that we just added to the equation. I think the September value is just causing this large difference, and just showing that the errors are kind of more dispersed. And over the period, we are seeing that there's a large error there. That's the point that we have seen the 0 sales. And other than that, we kind of see there's no heterogeneity of the variance here. So we are not seeing anything in terms of anything wrong in terms of that. And this is the search volume index. And what we are seeing is that these are for specific months, and we are kind of seeing that this somewhere in the these are, let's take a look at here. So the search volume index is, if it's around 60, then we are kind of seeing larger errors. If the search volume index is low or high, we are not seeing a large error. So the errors are large when the search volume index is on about the average. So I think that is the end of this presentation, and thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe or comment. Thank you.